I'm just going to spend the last 10 minutes talking about the Mentor-a-thon that we've got coming up. I think Alice has actually been part of one of our Mentor-a-thons, so she might, if I can pick up in a minute to say a little bit about it and what her experience kind of G you up. But in essence, basically, Flourish have been running these Mentor-a-thons for, we're on our 8th Mentor-a-thon. In fact, we're running 3 this year for different Time to Grow programs because we find they bolt in really well as part of the work. The idea of the Mentor-a-thon, after you've been through the various stages of the program, there's a kind of that initial onboarding, thinking about who you are, thinking about your goals and values, what's motivating you and your skills and sort of attributes to kind of lead what it is you're trying to do. There's the enterprise kind of building blocks of what the project, social enterprise, community businesses that you're trying to create. And then there's the kind of this phase, the Mentor-a-thon, where you can hear from various people that are maybe a little bit further down the line from you, or they are working in a different sector to you. Basically, with a Mentor-a-thon, it's your chance to have a troubleshooting session for you with a range of people and get feedback, really. And in a nutshell, I will ask Alice in a second to say a little bit, but the theory is that you are going to have a forum in which to kind of troubleshoot a challenge, get feedback on what you're doing and get some opportunity to reflect. You'll get different perspectives, as I just said, in different ways, and hopefully access new connections, think about things that you might not have reflected on before, get some affirmation about what you'd already been trying, but another arena in which to be taken seriously with wider connections. And within the session, we run these sessions in a particular way that I wouldn't say completely puts you out of your comfort zone, but it's weird. I'll show you in a minute what it is, so you've got a heads up. And not only does it teach you a new sort of troubleshooting style, it hopefully helps churn out some new light bulb moments, helps you overcome or think about how you might overcome a challenge in a different way. And we have got some seed funding, only a little bit of money, probably in the region of sort of 150 to £300 to invest in some of the people that we're working with. And that can cover pretty much anything. So I can answer questions on that in a second. But as long as it's not illegal, and as long as it's helping you progress with what you're doing, it can be for personal development, it can be for organisational, practical development, or testing and trialling something out. So there's that. In terms of the format of this thing, just so you think, well, what is this I'm coming to? The day itself, so on the 30th of June, which is what we've talked about, I'm going to be running the day at Red Bank House from about 11 till 5. And throughout the day, people will come for probably about 4 hours of the day or so. We've got a podcasting training session, or a couple of sessions that Vic Turnbull's going to do. So in addition to getting your session, we're going to do this podcasting training, and it'll all come out in an email, but in principle you'll have some podcasting training for those of you that want to do that, and for those that we can want to come on the day and want to take part in this, you'll have a sounding board session. We've had people before who think, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, or I'd rather just watch. That's fine. We will be encouraging you to actually do it because we want to give some money away. But I think if there's anyone who would rather just be observing, we could involve you on the sounding board itself. And there are a couple of people in mind that I've got who I might come and ask you to both pitch a challenge and access support and use that troubleshooting time, as well as sit on the sounding board sessions as well, because you've got either particular experience in a particular sector, we've been running thing in a particular way, you've got worked in a particular career. So we'll see what we can do. I appreciate some people are busy, some people have got work commitments and everything else, but I'm hoping as many people as possible will get a chance to get involved. And I'll just say, Alice, do you want to just, it's probably still fresh in your mind, yours was virtual and we've not run a real world one for nearly a year, so we're looking forward to that. But Alex, do you want to just...
It's not like a trauma. It's not like, I don't have PTSD or anything like that.
Good.
It was really good fun. It was a challenge. It was a challenge for me to just pitch my idea to strangers. So it was really good practice in that way. So I did both. I did the mentee and the sounding board. And it was just that idea of your idea being taken seriously by people you haven't previously bored to death, but, you know, talked their ears off about it. They're strangers, and they reflect back on you what they think is good about your idea. And that is sort of a massive confidence boost. And you don't have to like sit and nod along, because at least you didn't on Zoom, because I was, you know, muted and video off. It was great. And being on the other side, being on the sounding board side, and just hearing everyone's different ideas and different perspectives on it, it just helped spark different connections between different ideas that were floating around in my head from my stuff. But also when people were saying about, oh, I'm struggling to get hold of this person, or I've now got no connections in this agency, I'm like, I know somebody who does. And, you know, being able to use the ridiculous things that I've accumulated along my careers to go, I can help somebody with that. That felt really good. So even if you don't think, so I'm like not an experienced business change maker, leader person at all, but there's bits of that I know that I can give, and that again boosted my confidence. And, you know, it was generally a very positive experience. I'd thoroughly recommend it, even if you can't think of something to ask, or you haven't got a particular challenge, you're just like, oh, I can't think of anything at all.
We'll drag it out of you. We'll work it out.
Yeah, and literally just having that conversation and hearing people have a conversation about your business makes it seem like a real business.
Well, really, and that's because it is, you know, I think as women as well, we've got webinars on things like imposter syndrome and other stuff. And I think, you know, as much as Ella says, you know, I'm not a real leader, social enterprise person, I'd say, you know, what a crock on that. But I can appreciate why someone might feel that way. And I've, you know, most people who look like they're, you know, doing all of these amazing things, you know, started out where you were, or they're still winging it now with whatever it is they're doing. And so we like to use these sessions as a good leveler. And the people who come onto the sounding boards, whether they're from our Time to Grow group where we ask people to do that, or whether they're, you know, people that have been running social enterprises for, you know, 20 years or more, everybody learns from this. Everybody's takes something away from it. And the biggest takeaway, hopefully, is for those people, the mentees yourselves, going away with a whole, you know, potentially a series of contacts, potentially a series of new routes forward, and ideally a little swatch of cash to go and invest in what it is you're doing. So as Alice mentioned there is this fly on the wall thing where, you know, I'll just reiterate through this. Within the 45-minute sessions that we have, people, you know, there's somebody chairing what's going on to keep people to time, and that's one of the team. We then throw it over to yourselves to just outline who you are, this pitch thing, you know, social issue you're trying to address, where you've got to with it, and what's the current challenge that you're facing you'd like the group to focus on. If you know, and usually it's a couple of challenges, and often the challenge that somebody brings to the table in reality isn't the real challenge, and we kind of peel certain things back. But once we've clarified that we understand what it is you're asking of us, and with a few quick questions, the weird bit is where we ask you to sit to one side, put your feet up, and let go of the baby. And it's quite, well, it's weird. It's either very liberating to just have a rest, or it's kind of very weird to just really listen in, as Alice said, to somebody talk about you and talk about your business. And it's like they're in your head. Don't want to put you off there, but it's, you know, a lot of what they'll say is what you've been telling yourself, or the conversations that you've been having with yourself. And as Alice said, that can be quite confidence building, quite useful, might help you revisit things that you kind of dismissed, or it might come up with new options and routes forward as well. So that's the kind of process. And then once we've had a good old chat for 20 minutes or so, we would then invite you back to see what's been of use, see what's been helpful. And it's at that point people are often like, oh, I wish I'd said this, or I meant to say that, or oh, I've tried this. And I think you know, it also helps people to see how they're pitching, how they're coming across, and refine and review how they put that over next time to get to the nub of what it is they want someone to look at. But in theory and in practice with most people, it really comes up with some new stuff. And towards the end of the conversation, we then ask you, if you could get your hands on some cash, what would you spend it on, and what do you need right now? And then we take a view on who would best to invest some cash in right now to make the most difference. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I'd really encourage anybody on the Time to Grow programme to be thinking about that. I'm trying to make it easy because I know you're all busy. I don't want to throw more paperwork at you. I'm showing you the faces of our lovely, shiny, some of the people who've been mentors for us in the past, and who might come back this time, to show they're a friendly bunch and you know, they're very supportive. They've all been running different social ventures themselves, or maybe come from different sectors. We have a mixture of brains to tackle all sorts. And then what I would say is, if you're interested, these are the next steps. So I'll be emailing you about this. I would say put the 30th of June in your diary for starters, if you're up for it, and you'll have that date anyway through the programme. Let me know that you want to be involved, because, you know, as is always the way with these things, and you know, kind of need to know who's involved so we can structure and roster the right sort of day and the right number of mentors and catering and everything else. Although I'm not going to ask for heaps of forms, I would love to get an outline of what you think your challenge and constraints are by the middle of June, only so we can get the best brains around the table for what it is we're needing to look at. And then I'll come back to you with a kind of time slot on this stuff. And as I say, we'd invite you to come along for you know, a 3 or 4 hour block, where unless we invite you to come to sounding board stuff as well, where you'll have a sounding board session, and you'll hopefully take part in the podcasting training as well, for those of you that want to. So that's the plan. We'll see how we get on with it, and we look forward to seeing what challenges people bring to the table for us. So I was just going to say and check whether anybody's got any key questions